Hello and welcome to Access Paranormal. My name's Jamie Williams and joining me in the studio is Marie Spriggs.
Hello.
And my bubble is Jonathan Sullivan.
Hello, Jamie.
Hi, Jonathan. Now, we're going to start the show a bit differently because it was going to be a talking show. And a little bit in a couple of minutes' time, I've got Sean Kenna on from Dark Territory.
Oh, great.
And I pre-recorded that one, obviously, a couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
And it got a little bit different to what it should have been. We were having a conversation and everything else, and then things started to happen in the building. And I was on my own.
Okay. Jamie on his own in the building.
Yep. And Marie, you weren't too well, were you? So you stayed at home. So I was here.
I did.
And I come home to you, didn't I?
You never stopped about it.
Oh,
of things that happened. So listening.
Definitely listening. Now, I'll be talking to Sean in a couple of minutes' time, and I know Jonathan's watched it, and me and Marie watched it the other night. It was the Mill Street Barracks one, what was on YouTube and under Dark Territory, which was really, really good, as you know.
Yes,
yeah,
right. Definitely, yeah.
They're seeing the things that we see. Here, so that's great.
Yeah.
And it was one of those, wasn't it? It got you on the edge of your seat all the time. It was like
it did.
waiting things, especially when they were in the cellar, in the firing range of all places.
Oh, yeah.
And they got the shadow.
Yeah, the shadow.
You got that shadow.
Yeah, we've all seen the shadow. It just sort of puts some more proof into it, though, doesn't it, Jamie?
It does.
It certainly does, yeah, Marie. Because you've seen the shadow more than anyone, haven't you, really?
I did, yeah. At first I was saying what I could see, and then it was just being like, oh, yes, you can see something, but I'll only say if I do see something. And, yeah, it is brilliant to see. I'm hoping that we can start, once it starts getting used to us or anything, hopefully it'll open up, communicate a little bit better, or find more strength or energy. Maybe something will happen. You never know.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't happen. What happened the other night when I was recording this with Sean? Seriously, I was like, should I abandon this and ring Sean up again and do the second part to it? That's how nervous I was getting. But like Sean was saying, you'll hear it a little bit later on. He said, Jamie, why aren't you recording this? This was, I'd stopped the interview, and he said, record it, Jamie, because you don't know what you're going to get. Like, and I'm thinking about going home here, Sean. Yeah. Anyway, I soldiered on, and carried on, and that, and quite a few things happened. When I was doing it, and our conversation started about his YouTube site with him and Dark Territory, and there was quite a few times where I was distracted.
Okay, say no more.
No, I'm not saying any more. Once you start listening to it, everything went great, and then all of a sudden I was distracted, and thankfully I was glad that Sean was on the end of the phone to talk to me. It was like that comfort zone. He had my headphones on, the microphone in front of me, and Sean on the end, so I was very grateful he was there. Otherwise I would not have been in this building, I'll promise you that. But it was a really good night. Like I said, it was spooky. Never happened to me before like that. Then again, I've never been in the building on my own like that. In that way. But anyway, if anybody listened to it and they do hear anything, or they think they've heard anything, why don't you contact us on info.accessparanormal@gmail.com, or go to the Twitter site at #AccessParanorm1 and just tell us what you've heard. Now, in a couple of minutes or so now, I will be playing that full interview. There's been nothing cut. I'm just going to play it for the whole thing. We should have only been doing about 40 minutes. We ended up doing the whole radio show with Sean because of the things that happened. And you've been here before, Marie. You know what goes on. And Jonathan, you know what's going on.
Certainly do.
Yeah.
It's just good that other people are capturing what we see.
Yeah. And you're going to hear what happened last night. Well, was it last night or the night before? Do you know what? one day goes into well, after that one,
on his show because on the Dark Territory, because they're capturing what we wanted, what we've seen before. So over to you, Jamie.
Right, over to me. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go over to me. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the conversation with Sean, and this is how it went. So we're joined on the radio now by Sean Kenna of Dark Territory. So Sean, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Jamie. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
No, you're welcome. Sean, before we go into your videos and that on YouTube, tell us a little bit about Dark Territory itself and how it came about.
Okay, so it's been going for a couple of years now, but the videos that you've seen, the Dark Territory that we do now, has only really been going for about a year, and that's when Carl Hassel from Dark Arts TV, he come and initially collaborated with us, and it just worked so well that we started a partnership, and now we do this, the three of us. But yeah, I mean, initially it was just myself and Sean Owen, who obviously you've met when we came to Mill Street.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we've known each other 20 odd years now, we're like brothers, so it was me and him that started ghost hunting about 5 years ago. We came into this complete skeptics. Neither of us had really had anything happen in our lives to make us believe, but as soon as we started delving into it, literally our first investigation, the things that we experienced were just undeniable, and it just opened up our minds, and ever since then we were just hooked.
So, are you a believer now?
No, I'm going to say 95%. I don't want to say 100%. I've experienced so many things in them years, but we are the kind of people that still want to look at things as rationally as we possibly can.
Yeah.
So I always have that bit of doubt in my mind, but some things you experience, as you'll know, it can just be, it's more stupid to put something logical to it than actually accepting what it could be. So, I'm virtually a believer.
Well, what I've seen anyway, what we'll be talking about in a little bit is your videos. I mean, I've watched a couple of them now. How you can't be a believer, I do not know. I mean, I'm a believer, but I'm like you. You've got to try and look at things logically. You've got to try and think, well, it's an old place. Things are going to creak, and you know that yourself. And you know when something does happen and you can't prove it, that's when you start beginning to believe things. And I'd say 90% of the time, it's natural stuff. It's just that 5% that is out there that cannot be, they cannot be proven, can it? It cannot be debunked in a way, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, totally agree. And as you know, it is right place, right time with this. Paranormal's not around all the time. You've got to be in that place at that time and be lucky. But, I mean, this series that we've just filmed, we have been quite lucky on a lot of the locations we've been to. Sure, some of them have been more quiet than others, but there has been a few episodes where we've experienced some pretty shocking stuff.
Yeah, I mean, going back to before we go into the video stuff of it, how did you get your name, Dark Territory? It's a really good name, and I love the logo, by the way.
It's a nice one, cheers. It was actually, we're going back years now, probably of when we first started about 4 years ago. We did like a bit of a special documentary. We did 3 of the most scariest kind of haunted places in Britain. We did 30 Years Drive, the Ancient Ram Inn, and the Leopard Hotel. Don't know if you know of that one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we did like a bit of a joint investigation going from one to the other to the other. And that's where this name came about, because we're kind of focusing on the dark stuff. But it's play on words, dark territory, you work in the dark, but it's also like the unknown. It's unknown territory that you're walking into. So kind of the play on words just worked for it. And I always liked it since then. So when we eventually, like I said, I've been ghosting for about 5 years now. So I was under a different team for the first 3 of that. But yeah, when I moved on to starting Dark Territory, I had to pick that name back up from that special, because I think it just works for the nature of what we do and our brand.
It's very catchy. I mean, it's one of those names that you can, once you know it, you know it. I mean, it's very good. There's some names you tend, they fade away, you forget about them. But Dark Territory, it's definitely a TV name, I'll tell you that. But you yourself, Sean Owen and Carl, is it Carl Hassel? How did you got together and you gel perfectly? You've got that magic kind of way about you. You all get on together and you trust each other. I mean, God blimey, Sean definitely owns you. Sean Owen, he definitely trusts you.
Like I say, Sean's like my brother. So, but yeah, it's funny because the first episode of our season was at Bronigar Hospital. Don't know if you know about that place.
No, I've never been that one.
No, it's not really a location people know. I'll talk a little bit about that one later, because it's quite special, that place. But yeah, that's the first location where we met Carl, and he came on board with us, and we just gelled straight away from like the first scene, and it's as if we've just filmed together for years. But but it's funny, Carl has been doing this the exact same amount of time that we have. We've been doing it about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So he works on his own YouTube channel, full-time Dark Arts TV, which is primarily a paranormal channel as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a raw vlog kind of investigation style. So, he goes out filming all over the place a few times a week.
Yeah.
So less kind of production in it, more just getting out there raw ghost hunting.
Yeah, he goes on his own, doesn't he? Just he was saying to me that's like his full-time job now, doing that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's got a pretty big fan base. I think he's about 85,000 subscribers on YouTube now. So that revenue that generates, it's enough to for him to do it full time. So
yeah, I love
lucky for him.
Yeah.
I'd love to be doing that, but
well,
not quite yet.
No, I think as well. I mean, at the moment, I was out. I said to you last night, I was watching your YouTube channel, and at the moment you've got like 6.82K you've got there now over 7 months. That's brilliant.
That's it. Yeah, it's growing. It's growing slowly. Starting off the YouTube channel, it does take a while to get going, but yeah, it's doing all right so far. I think now we're nearly at the end of this season. It's only going to keep growing, and obviously there's a lot more to come.
Well, I mean, for what I've seen, I think what you've got there is TV quality. The filming's fantastic. I mean, I was here when you were filming Mill Street, and I was curious of how you were going to film and everything else, and then to actually see it on YouTube and watch it, it was super. It was like watching proper television. I mean, that's the quality you're doing. You're so professional the way you're doing it. The way you come across is fantastic. You laid back. You're going in there. You're having a laugh and a joke. You can see that. You can see the little devilment in your eyes, especially on one of the programs. Because I mean, poor Sean. I mean, I watched it last night, and I said to you off air before, what you done to him was cruel. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But
yeah, definitely.
if the people who are listening now, I mean, I would certainly recommend to go onto Dark Territory TV and go and watch them. There's 9 videos out there now, and they're fantastic, absolutely superb. My favourite one. No, you're welcome. I mean, what you've done for here at Mill Street Barracks, the video there is superb. But before I keep saying before we go on to them, and I want to get onto them, but you've got yourself, Sean. Tell us how you got into the paranormal, and then we'll go on to Sean, Owen, and Carl just before we so you can introduce your team. How about did you get into the actual paranormal itself, Sean?
Right. Well, like I say, I'd never experienced anything. I wasn't a believer at all when I first got into it. But what made me actually curious, there was a documentary. It wasn't a documentary actually. It was like a drama, and it was based on the Enfield haunting.
Yeah.
It must have been about 5 years ago. I forget the actor who was the main guy.
Was it Tim? Timothy Spore, was it?
Yes, that was it.
Yeah.
You've seen it, have you?
Yeah, it's superb.
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? And to be honest, it was that just piqued my interest to think, do you know what? Is there something to it all? I think on the back of that, I started watching your actual reality ghost hunting shows, Ghost Adventures, Most Haunted, seeing what ghost hunters around that time, quite a few different ones. And yeah, from then I thought, do you know what? I fancy going out there and seeing if there is actually anything to it. So, bought myself the SB11 Spirit Box, which I still use to this day. It's one of my favourite pieces of kit. But yeah, that is really what started it for me.
Really?
That Enfield drama.
Well, I mean, I remember watching that Timothy Spall. It was what there was one. I mean, you probably weren't even born then, Sean, but there was one out in 1992, and it was called Ghost Watch, and he brought it out. I think it was on the BBC, and I don't know whether you've seen it yet now, because you can it's out there now to watch. And it was
that was the year I was born, 1992. But
was it?
No, I've not seen it.
Yeah. Oh no, I highly recommend it to you. I mean, obviously it was a mock-up of a paranormal investigation. He had Sarah Greenwood on there. She used to be on Blue Peter and things like that. And they actually made it real. And when we were watching it, they actually brought it out on the night of Halloween. And the reaction was unbelievable. It was just so real. It was only at the end that I mean, when you're watching it, you're on the edge of your seat a lot of the times. If you get the chance to watch it, Sean, I really recommend it. And that's where I think all these other programs, it starts from. Obviously, Most Haunted, they came up and they made a fantastic job of it. I think it was 2002 they started. So you're talking, was it 10 years later? But if you can, and it was made to be a mock-up kind of video show, TV show. Michael Aspel was the presenter of it, so it made it look more real because he was a very, very respectable presenter, So you sit there, you watch it. When you go in the house, I don't want to give too much away because if you get the chance to watch it, go and watch it because it's so realistic at the time. I think it hit the papers a few times as well because people went mad over it,
Were they portraying it was real then?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you watch it, the whole thing, you would literally think it was real the way it was done. It's the best one I've ever seen out there. I mean, I've got a copy of it. I mean, I bought the DVD, that's how much I enjoyed it. And if you get the chance to watch it, I would do. And I can see where you're coming from now because when you watch when you, like you were saying about the Enfield ghost, the Enfield poltergeist, I mean, that's world famous. That's one of those. I mean, the Ed and Lorraine Warren went to that. Everybody knows about that one. So it was nice to know that the way that encouraged you to get out. I don't know why the Enfield poltergeist. I think that would have encouraged me not to do it because it's so scary, especially with living in that house.
It's the funny thing because growing up, I've always been one of these kids that's been terrified of the dark. I think I'm going to embarrass myself here, but I think even to the age of probably 14, I used to have a nightlight on because I just instinctively had that fear of something, around you in the darkness.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not somebody that's like a psychic or medium, but I think any investigator, I think you'll agree with me, the more you investigate different locations and experience potential activity, I think your body kind of gets sensitive to realizing when something's around. You kind of developing your senses.
Definitely.
Separate to mediumship, not receiving messages to my mind and stuff, but yeah, I think with regards to feeling sensitive, I think I've always been a bit like that as a child, feeling something not quite right. So yeah, I've always been intrigued.
Same here. But I mean, you're saying, sorry, Sean. You're sensitive. You become more sensitive to things. You start noticing things, and you start, it's like you realise you're walking into an atmosphere, or there's something around, but you can't explain why. And I think that, I think that's you're becoming more experienced, if you get what I mean there.
Yeah,
and then,
definitely.
But you never ever let your guard down. I find that the more you know, the more frightened you get, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, what Mill Street's like. You've got the video there. I mean, I had to come in here and I had to put a torch on and walk from one end of the building. Now, where you put your trigger, up the top of the stairs, and you put a trigger object. You put the ball, didn't you, with the smiley face on it?
Yeah.
Well, that's out. I've just put that out on the front in the hallway there now. Because where you were there, there's the room on the end, isn't it? There's a little room which is locked.
Yes.
As you come up the stairs, where you put the ball, there's like the little corridor into the classrooms, and there's a door. There's a room on your right. Well, that's where that's where my studio is at the moment.
Right. And, okay. So you're not right down the end then. You're above the basement then at the moment.
Yeah. Don't even mention that. Yeah. So like you say.
Rather you than me, James.
I know. Well, after watching your video last night, I'm a bit on edge tonight. But I mean, I'm there, and I'm looking out the window into that corridor. All the lights are off. There's just me in the building. I've put a trigger object outside the door, and I'm looking at the window, and it's pitch black. If anything appears in there, I'll tell you what, you'll be taking over the show from your home, because it really is a bit nervy. But I had to come and do this, because this is where the studio is.
Oh dear. Well, I've got full respect for you, Jamie, because when you're on your own, paranormal investigating is a different story. That's the thing. When I'm with my team, when I'm with the lads, I can pretty much go anywhere with relative comfort. But as soon as you're on your own, it completely changes, doesn't it? You feel just vulnerable. You feel like you're going to get attacked any second.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
I know what you're going through right now.
Well, there was one time, Sean. I mean, we'll go back in a second. But like I said before, we do all go off on tangents. And one time, I was in here, and there was my friend Jonathan and Marie, and we were doing like the radio show, and we were talking away, and all of a sudden, outside the door, there was noise. And Marie just gets up and looks out the door, like, but there's only the three of us in the studio, and we could hear this bang. So we opened the door and we had a look in there, and we couldn't see anything at all. We came back in here, and my comfort is headphones on, microphone in front of me, concentrate on the show, you know. And that, oh God, yeah. But sometimes you can't. You know, your mind starts playing, and to be honest with you, after watching your show last night, you know, and what happened to you in the cellar, like I'm sitting here, and you just reminded me that I'm on top of the cellar. That doesn't help, does it, Sean?
I will say though, Jamie, obviously I imagine you've investigated that place more than anybody.
Oh, 400 or 500 times now. I think I've done this.
That is crazy for one location. You know that place inside out.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a theory that the atmosphere and even the spirits in places can change over time, like the energy shifts. That's one theory that we perhaps think could be a reality. But despite what we caused, did it feel like dark and negative? I wouldn't say it did. When we walked down there, as you saw in the video, you know, we got the tri-field meter out because we did feel like something wasn't quite right. Again, talking about sensitivity.
Yeah, that's right.
Senses were going off a little bit, but I didn't feel like in danger. I didn't feel like there was something evil and hostile that meant harm.
No.
I can't say the whole investigation, I never felt threatened in that way.
No, well, sorry, Sean, I was going to say Mill Street itself. I mean, I've been here, like I said, 400 or 500 times. I've done investigations. You know, sometimes I've done 3 or 4 in a week here, you know, because I can come in. I've got keys. I can come in and when it's quiet like this, if I want, you know, because it's at the moment we're all in lockdown. But we have to come into the building to check the building, make sure the building's safe and things like that. We do that on a regular basis. So sometimes when I come here and do a check-up of the building, I do go around the building on my own, but all the lights are on. I'm going to tell you now, I do not go around this building in the dark, except tonight. But I'm not going down in the cellar. And I know what's in the building. I know what kind of spirits are here, and I don't feel threatened in any way. I've never been. I think it's just the thought of being on your own, the thought of, you know, they're watching you and you're on your own and you don't know where they are and things like that.
Yeah.
But nothing's ever harmed me. Now let's go on to the video. Let's go on to the Mill Street Barracks video. What you done? And for anybody, it is on YouTube now. Just go to Dark Territory and just type in Mill Street Barracks and you'll find that one and all the rest of them as well. Subscribe as well. I recommend it. And I mean, we were watching it last night, and I mean, I think we watched it twice. We've actually watched it twice now, and the second time we took more notice of things. The first time you watch it because you're interested in it, you know, and then the second time because I was going to talk to you, you know, over it. You start watching a bit more, and I noticed that. Yeah, and you and Sean and Carl went down there, and you could tell you were relaxed and you were calm and everything else. When you weren't calm was when you went into the firing range. When you went into that firing range, it was a different kettle of fish. Now there's a part on it, isn't there? Where I mean, we watched the shadow part 5 or 6 times. You know, when we seen it, we rewound. Well, it's not called rewind anymore, is it? We played it back and then went forward and kept watching it. Now I don't know whether you've seen it as well. When you see the shadow, it becomes between the chair and the tripod.
Yes.
Yeah. But if you watch it goes across the table as well.
Right.
It goes across the table as if it's coming from the right hand side. It goes. You can see the shadow along the wall, as you say. But if you watch the end of the table, you see it go across the table.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's obviously the guys. I didn't see it, did I? I had my back. To that area. They saw it like stood in the centre towards the back of the rifle range. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then once we all panicked, it was as if come from the right. The funny thing is though, we didn't even notice that until we virtually completed the episode, and I was just giving it its quality checks at the ends, and that's when I just saw something flick across. It's easy to miss, but obviously once we slow mode it down and highlighted it,
you can't miss it.
But I like to be logical. You know, I'm not saying 100% that is a shadow figure. What's your thoughts? Could you put anything rational to that? Perhaps the way we're moving and blocking any light sources or anything.
Well, we tried looking at it on different angles. We were watching where you ran and where Sean and Carl went as well. We were trying to watch that, and we were trying to think: did they knock anything? Were they moving anything when they went? Did you knock the camera or anything? And there was no knocking at all. You didn't knock anything. How you didn't knock anything over, I don't know, because you went like a bat out of hell.
I nearly did. I fell over something.
Oh, did you? But I mean, we've seen shadows. I mean, I think I spoke to you about it before, that we'd seen shadows going across the floor. Now, going back a little bit, just before that, when you were going into that room, you said something flicked your hair.
Yes. Just in the entrance to that room. Yeah.
Right. So where you were standing, I said to Marie, where Sean's standing now, that's where we saw the shadow when we were seeing it. I mean, I'm trying to think if I've got the recording of it, or me talking about it. And I went, there's a shadow there. I can see the shadow. It's there. And I was pointing. And just where you said you had your hair flicked, that's where I saw the shadow. And then you actually turned to the corner where the wall is to look. And that's where I saw the shadow. Now, the shadow, when I seen it, went down onto the floor in the main part of the cellar, and then it went over the table, and then it shot between me, James and Marie were in there at the time. There's only 3 of us in there like yourselves, but I kept looking towards that corner where you were, but they seen it turn into like it was like a manifestation in front of them. But he said it went upwards, the shadow shot up into the air and through the roof, and he said it turned into like a white light and just went up. Now, when you were sitting around the table, because I'd say a year or 2 ago, we went in there with a girl called Shell Louise. Now, I don't know whether you've heard of Shell Louise. She's brilliant, a superb lady, and she's a. Hold on a minute, I just thought I heard something outside then.
Oh, it's starting already.
I hope not.
You're talking about that shadow figure down there.
No, I'm sorry, I thought I heard someone shouting. Sean, just give me a sec. Just stay where you are. Keep talking, or whatever you want to do. I'm just going to check. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Sean. I'm going to leave the recording going, because if you hear me scream.
That's all right. I'll take over for a minute.
Yeah. Give me a sec. Yeah. I'll tell you what. While I'm just going to have a check. Let's just go back a little. Let's rewind a little bit and talk about your group, and just say about. Just mention your YouTube channel and see how how they can get in touch with you and that. I won't be a second.
Okay, mate, no worries. So it's a funny coincidence, isn't it, that he's talking about the shadow figure out loud in that particular spot in the basement, and he's hearing things. I tell you what, I would not like to be in that place on my own. He's in the dark as well, so complete respect to him. But he's asked me to present a little piece to you about the channel, but I'm kind of curious to just listen out and see what's happening to him.
Sorry, Sean.
It's all right. I'm trying to listen what's happening to you.
Well, this way you've got goosebumps. There's nothing out there. Just put my torch down. The worst thing is the traffic. The traffic. What am I talking about? Traffic. Sorry, I'm back now. There's nothing out there. I've got a nice big bright torch there. Just shouted down. There's nobody there. I've just come back in, shut the door, and the door's just opened again on its own. So, let's carry on. Sean, I don't want to be here now.
Did you properly shut that door, or what? Did you push it to?
Yeah. Once you shut the door, it stays shut. You've got to push it to open it, but it's just open. Let me just go and shut it, Sean. Hold on.
Yeah, just go close it again.
Sorry.
I think this is going to turn into a show of Jamie getting attacked.
Yeah, I hope not. Oh my God.
There's us saying, "Oh, it's all friendly at Mill Street, nothing to worry about."
Well, I'm back now, Sean. I'm really sorry about that. We had to cut into the interview then, but I am on my own here. I'm on my own. I'll just tell you what happened a couple of weeks back. My mate James was here, and I was doing the show up in the hello dog.
Sorry about that, my little chihuahua. Go on, Jamie. Sorry.
It's all right, no worries. I was up in the room, and what happened was I was doing a talk and an interview and that, and I can't remember who was in the room with me. Oh, sorry, I was on my own. It was like in the early hours of the morning. There was a paranormal group downstairs doing a ghost hunt, and I was on my own up here, but they were further away than me, you know. And my friend James, he come up the stairs, and I thought he'd actually come into the room because I saw someone standing next to me, and I thought, oh, he's come to check on me. I'm all right, you know. He's just keeping an eye on what I'm doing. James is usually on the show. He was on the show at the beginning, and obviously because of other commitments, he was unable to carry on. And I thought he'd come into the room. The next minute, his head popped up in front of the window. He tried to make me jump. But, I mean, I said to him, "What are you doing, James? You've just been in the room with me." I said, "You know, like that." And he said, "Jamie, I haven't been in the room." I said, he said, all I've done was sneaked up and tried to make you jump on the window. He said, hey, honestly, I haven't been in the room. But I actually thought I saw someone walking into the room and standing next to me while I was recording. So I just ignored him until I seen him pop up the window, and that's why I said to him, James, I thought you've just come out the room. And it wasn't him.
Isn't it right that area you're at now, wasn't that where they had the beds for when it was a tuberculosis?
It was, yeah.
Centre?
Yeah, they had the beds where I am now, the beds would have been. And there would have been children with the TV. The children was allegedly supposed to have been up this section.
Right.
So I'm probably sitting where the beds were because they were against the back wall. So
it's awful, isn't it? That was probably, we were talking about deaths at Mill Street. That's the time where you'd expect them, isn't it? So you are in the area where potentially there has been the death.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. You really.
We best move on, haven't we?
Well, I actually thought. I mean, going back to what I was just saying, then I actually thought I heard someone shouting up. I thought like Debbie or somebody come in and shouted up to me, and that's why I went to check. But there's nothing out there. I'm in pitch black. The lights are off. The only lights what's on is in my studio here. And I just grabbed my torch, went out, had a quick look at that, because I thought, well, if they're there, they're going to put the lights on if they see me. There's nothing out there. I come back in, I shut the door, I just sat down. Now, I've just checked the door to make sure the door didn't go open on its own. It doesn't. I've just shut it now, and it's still shut. The door's still shut. If it was going to open on its own, it would have opened by now. So, yeah. Great.
You have to keep an eye on that door, aren't you?
No.
So, I think we should touch on.
Yeah.
So obviously, the main experiment we did for Mill Street was the Ouija board, and that's not something we as a team really mess with.
No.
We're more equipment-based, a bit more scientific-minded. The traditional things we don't really do, Ouija boards, pendulums, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we wanted to give it a go. Now, as you've seen, for the majority of it, I mean, we have had a lot of comments on YouTube since, people that use Ouija boards a lot and understand it a lot better than us, saying where we went wrong. Apparently, you should not lift your hand off that planchette once you start. Apparently, there's certain ways you should move the planchette to build up the energy. Whether all this is correct, though, it's only one person's opinion over the other, isn't it?
It is, and I think if you want to use a Ouija board, you use it as long as you're careful with it. That's the most important thing, is to be safe with it.
Yeah, which we weren't really, were we?
No.
No, obviously we didn't tell you we were going to do what we did. What is your views on that? Were you a bit annoyed that we did that? I don't know what your views are with kind of the darker side. No, there's not one part of that where I was annoyed with you at all. People have used Ouija boards. We had paranormal groups in here, a while back before lockdown. We used to just leave them in here and let them do what they wanted. Obviously, we can't now because of lockdown. And when groups are in now, we have to stay with them. We do have to stay with them, for safety reasons and things like that. And that's the new rules. There's no choice. We don't have a choice. We have to sit there. But like you did, we just stay out the way. We keep an eye on, because we have to have the lockdown and the bubble at the time. We stayed. We kept an eye on them and things like that.
But like yourselves, you were here before the main lockdown was down and everything else. We just let you do what you wanted to do, and we just stayed out the way of you. That's the respect. It was your building that night, so we just keep out the way of it. What we have to do is every now and then is just check everything's okay. And what you did down in the cellar with the Ouija board, that was your choice. I mean, I know Carl drew what was it, Thomas the Tank Engine.
So obviously there's nothing wrong with that, really. But
no, I thought that was quite funny. Actually, he done a good piece there because he actually used the sun as the face of the Thomas the Tank Engine.
I think that's where he got his inspiration from.
Yeah, and then you had, was it Sean who wrote "You hate me" or "You hate me" or something like that?
Yeah.
And then you done the. Sorry.
Yeah, it's what I did that wasn't really so. It's a bit controversial, weren't it? But
was it a genuine symbol?
It was a genuine. That apparently is the sigil of Lucifer that I drew on that Ouija board. I read it off some satanic website that I quickly had a glance on while I was down there.
Yeah.
Now, we're just very open-minded investigators. We haven't got strict beliefs. We just want to try anything and everything to get a response. So, I didn't really believe that writing that symbol would do anything because personally I didn't really believe in the Ouija board. I'm still kind of on the fence as to whether I do now. Yeah. But the really interesting thing about that, the second I completed that symbol, Owen said there was like a tremor in the basement. Now, I mean, I didn't feel it myself, but then again, I was concentrating on what I was drawing. Is that something you've ever experienced? Do you get kind of rumbles down there from like nearby traffic or anything?
No, I mean, as you know yourself, there's a main road. Well, it's not exactly a main road. I mean, the Mill Street is not a main road. It's just a road. It's a one-way system, and cars do go past there. And even when we've been in the cellar, we've never had a vibration like that where the cars cause that problem. Sometimes you can hear them going past, but they don't make that much of a difference. If you're down that far end, you know where you were when you got your hair touched.
Yeah.
Just above that, that's where the street level is you know where the gas meter is.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Where that is, just above that is the main pathway going past Mill Street. Now, sometimes you'll hear people walking past and you'll hear them talking and things like that, and I can say straight away that's outside. We know where that is. We know what it is and that. But if I'd have listened to that and you said, "Oh, we can hear footsteps and that," I could say to you, "No, that's outside," because the way you're standing, you're probably picking them up. If you're near the middle of the cellar and you hear footsteps, it's in the building because you can't hear the footsteps outside. But going back to the Ouija board, you were talking about the Ouija board before. Can I just ask you, what made you want to draw it on a Ouija board and do that kind of thing? Was it like an off the cuff thing, or did you plan that before the show started?
I had it in the back of my mind because, like I say, I weren't a believer in a Ouija board. I didn't expect that we would get anything. I didn't think that planchette would move in the slightest, which it didn't a lot until we started to actually move it around ourselves to try, because nothing was happening, to see if it needed our energy to start it. But yeah, I had in the back of my mind, if this doesn't do anything, then how can I take this a step further to try and get a reaction from the spirits? So yeah, I had it in the back of my mind as like a backup. Yeah, and
we were talking about it before I got disturbed. What happened just before. When you were doing the Ouija board, and you drew that symbol, and you got the darkness. I mean, the light flickered as well. We forgot to mention that the light did flicker as well. Just before that.
Yeah, I think that was just towards the start. Actually, we hadn't long started doing the Ouija board. We were calling out to the shadow figure, which was because that's what you said you'd seen down there.
Yeah.
And then literally the light flickered. Now, as we said in the video, was it like some kind of large insect that blocked it temporarily? But the funny thing was, Owen was looking over towards like the entrance of that rifle range, and he said, literally just before it, he felt like something was coming out of the shadows. So I'm kind of thinking you wouldn't really see an insect, would you, in the darkness coming out?
No.
So whether it again was that shadow figure partially quickly shot across, I'm not sure. Could have been.
Well, because that's what I was going to say to you, Sean. Is I mentioned Shell Louise earlier on before we got disturbed, and what happened there is we were down there with Shell Louise, and like I was saying, she does demonology, so she can say things like an incantation. I haven't got a clue what they say, but I mean this day, and I mean this evening, sorry, when we were doing this, when she done it, we actually saw what we thought was a dark shadow figure, and it was very, very tall as well. Now I don't know whether Sean Owen will say that the figure was tall, what he saw, and we could see it. We were sitting there and we could actually see it. The people who were sitting with the backs to it obviously couldn't see it, but they were saying they felt cold and everything else, and you could literally see this shadow. And I've never seen it before in my life. Marie, my partner, she'd never seen anything like it, and we just sat there and we were just watching this figure. It just stood there as if it was watching over us. Now it was not where they saw it; it was the other way towards the entry. The entrance. Where the wood lifts up slightly, and you have to step over the wood to get out. It was near there.
Right.
Now,
it's still in that room though. Then.
Oh, it was still in that room, yeah. And now we could see it, but obviously she closed it again, and she stopped it from coming through again. But we all saw it. There was I think there was about 7 or 8 of us when that happened. Literally, more, I'd say 4 or 5 of us, maybe more, saw it. You could see the shadow.
So she's somebody that's she knows that dark, so she's conjuring it.
Definitely,
and that materialised, that shadow figure. So it makes you question: did me drawing that symbol have a similar kind of effect?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was coming to on that. Yeah. I mean, obviously with the Ouija board as well. It might not have been the Ouija board what conjured something up. It might have been the symbol you drew.
Yeah.
But
and like I say, if you say you don't feel vibrations down there.
No.
As in the tremor, we didn't. That was literally the only time.
Sean, yeah.
It's a coincidence.
And I mean, Carl, he started to feel really cold, and he could see his breath and everything. And
that was very strange because me and Owen were fine. It was literally Carl. You could see just his breath.
Yeah, and if you think about going to the shadow now, what was in that room, it came from where Sean was. Where Carl was, and went. It was like it was towards him, and it had gone towards him, and then across the table, where it went from there. Now, the more I think about it now, when you think about it was on the right hand side between the chair and the tripod. It went across the table and away that way. If you watch the video, watch it again slowly, and you'll see it go just on the corner of the table and go across. Now, when I was saying the figure was standing, what we saw, the shadow went that way, and it went the way where we saw it standing.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, and
it makes you think. Is a spirit? Has it got a resting spot, a certain corner, in a room where it always is gathered the strongest? Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and the likes of yourselves or us, when we go in there, they use our energies to manifest in as much as they can, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. And on the back of that as well, I believe that fear, I don't know whether it's the case of all spirits, perhaps it's just the more negative, but I do believe fear is just a beacon, it's a massive energy source.
Yeah.
You were mentioning what we did to Sean Owen in that 4th episode.
Yeah.
That was just a fear experiment to the max, and it really seemed to work. So,
well, if you think about it, Sean, if you're brave and you're tough and things like that, they're not going to come near you because they're not getting the reaction. If you stand up to someone, more often than not they'll back away. But if you show fear, the more they'll pick on you. It's like a bully would.
Very true.
So they're going to look for and on that night when you were in that cellar, the one who looked the most nervous, and I'll be honest with you, was Carl. Sean seemed relaxed, but Carl showed a little bit of fear because he put his coat on and he went, "I'm cold," and he put his hood up. And if you think about when you put your hood up, you basically protecting yourself from the cold. But what I thought, Carl looks a bit nervous there, and he was getting the cold. So it was like it was homing in on him, if you get what I mean, because you couldn't see your breath, you couldn't see Sean's breath, but you could see Carl's breath.
Yeah, it's very true. It kind of shown that he was the vulnerable one.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
targeted him.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, we'll go on to the other one in a minute, the demon encounter. I mean, there was another part in it as well. We'll come out of when you come out of the firing range, you go into the middle room. Now it's called Claire's room, as you know. We call it Claire's room now. And when you were in there, you had the camera. I think you had the camera on the table, and you'd actually spotted there was like a ball of like a shadow going along, and it went out into the main hall.
That was it. Yeah. Like a partial manifestation or something, or because it was like a big orb, wasn't it? But the fact that it was black, it wasn't like a typical orb.
No.
You know, you can get big dust particles that drift in front of your camera lens close up, and the infrared will hit that and make it look mega bright and big.
Yeah.
But the fact it was black, that isn't infrared hitting that.
No.
It isn't. It actually doesn't have substance to it. So.
No.
Well, was it that same thing, just on a weaker scale? Because, you know, it was near the start of the investigation.
Yeah.
We were probably all a bit more braver by that point.
Yeah, and to be honest, when I first looked at it, both me and Marie turned around and went, "That looks like a boy, a child." Because of the height. The height, yeah. But when it went into the hallway, it looked like it went into the hall. Into the main hall of the cellar. It went up on the wall. It went higher on the wall. But what Marie saw that night and James saw that night went up like that, but it went out. Now, whether it was similar to that, I don't know. I'm just trying to compare. But it did look like a child, or was it something crouching down, coming out of the room, and then standing up? You know, there's so many ways you can look at these.
Yeah, that's it.
But you know, that's been seen. Things like that have been seen in the cellar before. So I don't know whether you just left the camera in there running. I don't know. Yeah,
that was it. Literally, we just left it on the table. Just looking out.
So I mean,
it's always worth dropping a lock off camera now and again, isn't it? Because you just never know what you're going to get once you leave that space.
Definitely. I mean, we've done that a few times with audio, and you know, you come back and you think, "Oh, what's that sound on it?" And as you know, I mean, there's been times when I've been doing, you know, recording this show, because we do pre-record the show due to, you know, me being busy as well. So I can't really do it live at the moment. And what happened to me one night, I was sitting in here, I had Marie in here, and I had Jonathan in here, and I actually thought they said something in my ear. They whispered in my ear. I just heard this, you know, like that in my ear. And I thought it was one of them two messing around, because there's 3 microphones in this room, you see. And I thought it was them two. And when I turned round to say something to the two of them, they were both talking to each other behind me, you know, quietly. They weren't anywhere near the mics. And I actually said to them, "Was that you?" And they went, "No, we haven't been. We're doing nothing, you know." But it was in my ear headphones. And
I was going to say, Carl even said, I think that's the first thing that actually happens, Carl, down there in that main corridor. That's why he put his hood up initially. He said something like blew past his ear.
Sean, can I just stop you a second? Sorry to butt in there. Do you remember me? Do you remember me telling you about the bell going?
Yes.
It's just gone now. Now I've just looked at the time, and it's not the bells of the church, because I'd hear them anyway. But I've just heard the bell in the main hall.
Oh my God, Jamie.
I didn't expect to hear that, because I mean, the other bells will go in a minute, because it's just coming up to 8:59 now, so I know the bells of the church are going to come now, but I've literally just heard the bell in the hall going.
So obviously, just point out to the viewers, so you've got a bell hanging off the wall in there, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's a heavy. Is it off a ship? It's like a big.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether it was off a ship or not. I'll have to find out about that, because that would be interesting as well. But it's quite a big bell. They use it to, you know, when they're doing the cadet stuff and that. Now, we've never really heard the bell going off before. It's only recently that the bell's going off, but it's also recently that the shadows have started appearing in the cellar. So, you know, when you were talking about before, you know, is it a different kind of realm coming in now?
Exactly,
you know,
like an energy shift.
Yeah, and that's the word, the energy shift,
spirits,
Yeah, I don't feel frightened. I just feel a bit nervous, to be honest with you. I suppose that is being frightened, isn't it?
It's just an unknown, isn't it? There's always that bit here that doesn't know what they're actually capable of.
No. No. I'm fine. You know, I am fine. I mean, I'm doing the show and everything else, and I'm going to continue doing the show at the moment. It's only when I finish and I'm going out, then I'll be like the Linford Christie of the Mill Street Barracks. I'll be gone.
Yeah.
But sorry, where did sorry, I interfered again there. If things happen, Sean, I will do that, and I'm sorry about that.
No, mate, that bell going off is pretty substantial because it's quite a distance away from where you are. So the fact you've heard that.
Yeah, and what I've done is I heard it. So now the bells, I can hear the bells of the church now. I can hear them.
And it's completely different.
Well, yeah, it's a completely different kind of bell because it's more of a darker, not a darker, a more bassy kind of bell when you hear that one. The one in the main hall's got a ding, like that. Right. That's my impersonation of it anyway. But the only thing is, I'm trying to concentrate on talking to you. I keep looking around.
They're trying to stop it.
Do you know what, Sean? I wish you were here in the studio with me now. If you were in the studio with me now, I'd be brave and I'd say, come on, let's go down and do an investigation. But I'm on my own, and there's not a cat and else chance of my doing that on my own.
I don't blame you.
But, sorry, what were you saying before, Sean, about, you were talking before I cut up, sorry.
Oh, it's all right. No, we were just saying about the energy shifts, weren't we? How locations can change.
Yeah.
I do believe that. The place that I've personally investigated the most, I don't know if you've ever been to it, is the Leopard Hotel, Stoke-on-Trent.
Not been there yet. Not been there.
Okay. It is up for sale at the moment, actually. It's just, I don't know if most haunted were looking at actually buying it.
Oh, right.
But anyway, I've done that place probably 10 times. I don't normally go to the same place many times. We like to keep trying different locations.
Yeah.
But that place, it's just special to me. It's the first place we ever started doing this. It's the place that opened my eyes to it all.
Yeah.
So it's somewhere I've always gone back to. But over the years, that place has seemed to change from when we first went. One room that was really active seems to just completely not be 5 years later. I do believe, and like different atmospheres, what would feel sinister then felt quite placid. It does seem like energy shift.
Do you think it's like, we have our generations, we're on the planet now. One day we won't be, we'll be in a different realm, which I believe you do. You go from this one to another realm. That's my belief.
Yeah.
And do you think it's the same with the paranormal? Do you think, we all, when we pass away, and we all can't be in one big massive place. Can you imagine that in Mill Street Barracks? There'd be thousands of people in here, there'd be thousands of spirits. Do you think,
Exactly.
I mean, the way I think about it, and I don't know whether this will help you, but I think about it like, when we pass away, we move into that our generation. Like my sons will become, older, and I move on to the next realm, and it goes on and on and on because, like, you've got your ancestors, haven't you? Now,
yeah.
When we pass away, are we going to be the spirits at that time? Then obviously, as time goes by, we fade into the next realm, and the ones who are in this realm move into that realm. Do you understand what I mean? Do you get the different layers?
Which kind of, it goes on to like, why don't you see ghosts of dinosaurs?
Yeah.
Because has the energy just gone so far back now that it's kind of way out of range almost? The way I've tended to think about it in the past is like a radio station. So, say we're on 100.0. Are we getting just random frequencies at different times, kind of just bleeding in and out? Like on a spirit box where you can get a bit of radio interference. I don't know, because you never seem to get, say you make contact with a spirit. Yeah. It's only very brief, and then it's gone again. And then 4 hours later, you might get it back, but is it that same spirit? It seems paranormal encounters are generally very brief. It's like it just bleeds in and then dissipates again just as quickly. Yeah. Is it like some kind of crossover? And then it begs the question: are they seeing you? Are they actually spirits, or could they just be another realm like us? Yeah. But hearing things like you are now.
Have you ever seen the others?
I haven't, but I know the concept of it. Someone explained it to me.
Yeah, I think that's a great explanation of the paranormal. where they think that I don't know. I won't say, because obviously it's going to give it away for people. You know, I wouldn't like to spoil the film for them, but that's a good film to watch. It's Nicole Kidman, and she's a family in this house, and she's obviously getting paranormal activity in the house. But I won't say any more than that. But I think that explains. I think that explains things if you watch it. You know, that's the way I think.
Yeah.
But it's you know, there's a lot out there. Right, that was the part where I actually stopped the recording, but I carried on talking to Sean. And what was happening? There was sounds around me. The room again went cold, and I actually went out of the room, but I picked the phone up and took the phone with me, and I was talking to Sean on the phone and explaining to him what was happening. And what was happening is we had noises in the main hall. I actually thought I heard someone's voice shouting. The door was like wide open. I could see things, I could hear things, and me being me, I was nervous, but obviously I thought there was somebody in the building, so I actually went out of the room with Sean on the phone, and I was explaining to Sean, and we were talking about it, and I was like debating whether to continue with the interview or carry it on tomorrow. And in the end, we decided to carry on with the interview, and this is how it continued. So, Sean, I was going to carry on the interview with you just then, but things are happening in the building. I'm actually on my own. I am feeling very, very nervous now. I'm hoping you're still there, actually. Sorry. What we're doing, Sean, is we're going to do the show into two parts, you know, your interview, because obviously I had to stop before. As you know, I'm on my own. I don't like it, to be honest with you. I'm feeling nervous.
Like I said, Jamie, I really don't envy you.
Yeah.
I've just been obviously on the mic with you.
Yeah.
You said you've heard like a little voice, like a child.
Yeah.
Microphone, headphones, and then you've heard a few thumps on the floor.
Yeah, I'm going really, really, really cold now, Sean. We'll get back to the interview in a minute. Let me just calm down from this, because the room has gone really, really cold. And oh my God, Sean, I am cold.
Yeah.
I've got.
Appreciate it, guys. Obviously, we're talking about paranormal theories and that. If they're agreeing with what we're saying, they might be interacting with Jamie and trying to say, yeah, you're onto something there.
Yeah, no, I'm dead serious now, Sean. This is like very, very uncomfortable. I'm going to carry on, because obviously I'm here. I'm going to be brave and carry on. But I meant to tell you, you know, we done last week we done a full live show, you know, to put out there.
Yes,
And
Mill Street, yeah.
yeah, and when we'd finished in the studio, there was me, Marie, and Jonathan. We tidied up and put the microphones away and everything else.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's crackling coming across the headphones now as well. But it's you know, when Carl, when Carl was saying he could see his breath.
Yeah.
I can see my breath now.
But the crazy thing is, it wasn't cold upstairs where you are. It's only the cellar, which you could understand. These two bodies down there for that reason, didn't they? But for it to be where you are.
Yeah. But when we were tidying up last week, when we'd done a 4-hour paranormal investigation, you know, for the radio show. And hello. I've just got another voice. Who's out there? Debbie? Debbie?
I hope you caught that voice.
I've got walking. Sean, I am now on edge.
Is the door still shut?
Yeah, I've started to shake a little bit, to be honest with you, because I'm literally on my own with no lights.
Mate,
Hello?
I don't know what support I can offer you.
No, don't worry.
You're on your own in there, but
Whoever's here with me now, I'm not here to do you any harm. Whoa, don't do that.
what's happening?
I'm getting knocking.
Like on a wall or something.
I'm gonna do it. Tell me if you can hear this, but it was like,
Yeah.
bump,
yeah, I can
bump,
hear
bump,
that.
bump, 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 like that. I know it's not outside; it's in the building. Hello. Hello.
I'm hoping you're capturing this. I can't hear it, mine,
Yeah.
but I'm hoping your recording's got at least the
Yeah.
voice, maybe.
Well, we're recording. I mean, I'm recording to interview you, but I didn't. To be honest with you, I didn't expect this. Oh. Do you know what, Sean? Let's carry on. I'm going to put my headphones on. I don't want to hear anymore.
Yeah. The problem is, put your headphones on, you don't know what's going on
No,
around you.
Sean, don't make it worse for me.
Sorry, mate.
Whoever's here
Yeah.
with me now, I'm not here to do your harm. Can you stay back from me? You can watch. I'm happy for you to watch. I'm happy to be here with me. But please, do not come near. Don't come close to me. Just let me do what I'm doing. You know who I am. You know I've been here a long time. Maybe. Oh my God, the room's just gone absolutely cold. Yep, I can see my breath. Hello, please.
Just to recap, viewers, so
Yeah.
the other month, I drew the sizzle of Lucifer on a Ouija board in the basement underneath Jamie. And then, literally a minute later, a black shadow figure appeared in the back of the room, watching us, which we've caught on camera, possibly, if it is that. Now, Jamie's got all this going on around it. I'm really hoping that's nothing to do with me, and that was there before, but...
No, there's been people in since you, Sean. So don't worry. I'm just gonna try and blank it off, and we'll carry on. So, for the listeners out there, I'm really sorry that I cut Sean up there. It wasn't meant.
You can't help it.
What was that? Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to try and talk to you to take your mind off.
Yeah, please, because I've just seen movement as well on the window here, right? And I'm not kidding you. On the window here, we've got like a camouflage thing, like the net with the camouflage. I don't know whether you've seen it when you were here.
I remember it,
Yeah.
camo netting, yeah.
That's just like moved. Literally just moved, like a wind blowing past it.
Is that inside the room or out?
That's on the outside of the room in the corridor.
Right.
Sean, this was only supposed to be
Investigation.
well, it's supposed to be a talk with you. It's supposed to be talking about you, things that happen.
Well, we can't complain at getting paranormal while doing an interview.
Oh, well, I can because I'm on my own.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Hello. I'm going to carry on now. Please don't do any harm. Don't cause me any disturbance.
I get the feeling that the more you say that, the more they're going to do it. Because if it's children, they're going to think it's funny.
Yeah, that's true. I'm getting loads of crackling on the thing as well. Going, on this. Okay. Let me just relax.
So anyway, you wanted to talk about... So, obviously we spoke about Mill Street quite a lot.
Yeah.
Really, for me, just to summarise Mill Street, looking at the evidence as a whole, we also caught a lot of male disembodied voices. A couple of times are really clear and prominent. They were even louder than the spirit box. So, combining that with the shadow figure and the accounts that you've said, for me, I got the impression that there was a male spirit down there, perhaps a guard or someone that had a duty of doing something down there.
Yeah.
But he didn't seem bad. I just felt like he was perhaps defensive of the place and protecting it, maybe. With both the spirit box and the Ouija board, they both together confirmed the name Reggie. Now, whether that was the guy's name or whether that was carrying on to say regiments, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's what I take from that investigation. That there's definitely a male spirit down there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say he's dark or anything to really worry about.
No, I don't think. don't think there's anything dark down there. I mean, there's the room at the end where I don't like going in, obviously. But you were talking about the name Reggie. I'm actually looking around while I'm talking to you here. But you know, your name Reggie. I mean, yeah, it could be Regiment.
Yeah.
You know, that's quite a good one, because we've never had the name Reggie here.
As you saw, the Ouija board. Like I say, I'm on the fence about the Ouija board, but if it went to anything, it was like R&E. And then the spirit box was saying that at the same time with it, which I found really compelling. And then obviously Owen on the back of that asked, well, could your name be Reggie? And then straight away the spirit box said Reggie. So, don't know.
Well, it's like we were saying, you know, before, earlier on, about the different realms, and maybe that's the realm what's coming in here. So, but what I will do is I'll keep a list out for that name anyway.
Yeah,
and
definitely. That'd be interesting if it comes again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you wanted to move on to our other episode. It was actually the episode before Mill Street, episode 8, which we've titled, you know, "Did we encounter a demon in this abandoned fort?" Now, obviously, to claim a demon is a big deal, and it's not something we would do lightly. But you've watched that video.
I did.
My personal opinion is, obviously, we offered a rational explanation to it. I don't think the rational explanation matches what we heard. But
no, I mean, I'm into the wildlife. I'm really, really deep into the wildlife. You know, I love anything wildlife. I watched, you know, the TV programs and everything else, and you know, I know sounds of animals. I know the sounds of birds and everything else. And when I first heard that sound, it's near the end of the program. But I mean, watch the whole program, watch the whole thing from beginning to end. It's fantastic. What you've done, just thank Christ that was your dog.
Sorry, mate. You're so on edge, aren't you?
Yeah, I certainly am. But I mean, that sound. What I liked about it at the end is what Sean did as well. Sean Owen, it was he compared it to a badger. And
it's the closest thing that we could think of.
It definitely was, but a badger wouldn't go into them places. It would sniff around the outside because they're quite territorial badgers. They'll roam a certain area one night, and they'll roam another area another night, but they'll go back to, and they stay within, you know, within their den area. They would go a couple of miles and things like that, but there's no way they would go into something like that and go deep into there, because the one of these animals. Yet they're curious, they'll go things like that. But all they'll do is they'll go where there's food. Now, in the likes of them places where you went that fort, there's no food in there.
No.
There's no food at all. So when I listened to it, and I mean, I did think, when I first heard it, I thought, that sounds like a badger. But if it was a badger, it would be at the entrance. The only thing is because you were in there, the badger's a shy animal. It wouldn't have come anywhere near. It'd smelt you a mile away. So a badger wouldn't come anywhere near that building, because it would have smelt you.
And you had to descend steps to get down to that.
Quite
deep.
Yeah.
And it sounded like it echoed down the corridor. So, yeah, it's a weird one. And it just sounded deeper than a badger to me. And
well, the camera moved as well.
Yes, yeah, that was it. Again, leaving a lock-off camera. It was like on a wooden platform, that area. There was like a room below it. And yeah,
right.
The floorboards wobbled. Now, could you argue, let's say a badger did go down there and did have a den, could a big badger have made them floorboards wobble? Possibly. They're quite big, heavy animals, aren't they?
The big animals, but they wouldn't go that far into that kind of place. Because, one, they're trapped. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's the tunnel. I don't know how long that tunnel was, but it would only go, if it wanted to, it could be curious. It might go down to the step and have a look down the step to see if there's any food. They'd sniff, but because you're around there, they wouldn't have come anywhere near that place. If you were downwind to them, they would have smelt you, or upwind, downwind, whatever. But even, I mean, you also mentioned it sounded like a cow, which it did sound like a cow. But you were in woods. You were surrounded by a lot of woods.
Exactly. I mean, there was fields past those woods. We saw some horses coming into that area, but not any cows. And I mean, the volume of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it would sound off in the distance if it was from some fields.
Yeah.
especially the first time we heard it, really seemed to echo down.
Well,
So
you're in a tunnel. You're going to get echoes. You know, if you whisper in a tunnel, you can hear it quite a distance away.
yeah,
So unless there was another entrance, I mean, I don't know how far down you went or anything like that. But if there'd have been another entrance, maybe, you know, it would have been a cow. But it depends. I mean, not being there, I couldn't say where the animals were. But to me, it did not sound like it did sound a little bit like a cow. I mean, we could define it to anything really, the noise, but it sounded haunting. It sounded like it was in pain. It was like a painful kind of sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Distress, like in pain. Yeah, I totally agree.
And I mean,
strange, man.
I mean, we're going to go back to what you done with Sean. You handcuffed him to like a railing thing, right next to steps.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think we need to paint the picture here for the viewers. Yeah. Obviously, if you haven't seen this, you won't really know what we're talking about. But this was an abandoned Napoleonic fort. It was used in World War II for storing munitions for the D-Day landing. There's quite a lot of history to it. It even in more recent years had a serial killer hiding some of his murder weapons, potentially instruments, down in these tunnels that were found. There's so much history and a lot of it quite dark. There's only one way into this place, and nature, because it hasn't been used for so many years, nature has completely overtaken it. So the fact you can't even recognise this place as a fort. You can stare at its high walls, it just looks like a big forest, which is it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So
you were just saying then, Sean, there's only one way in and only one way out. I mean, you went to two sections. You left the camera and you went to another section as well. Are they the only entrances? There's no other entrances around the other side that people could get into it, or
no?
You know,
because it's built as a fort. There's literally the main archway entrance where we went in.
Yeah.
You come into like what would have been the main forecourt, which it would have been huge, but the fact so many trees now, you can't get through.
Yeah.
But you got a few buildings that I suppose were like just storage buildings, and then if you follow the wall round, you've got steps down to one of the tunnels. Now, around the entire complex, there will have been a lot of tunnels, but you just can't get to them now.
Yeah.
But no, even to that tunnel system we went into, there's one way down, one way out. It is just that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You'd think we'd have seen an animal if it was something like a badger. Say it had a den down there, but that doesn't really make sense.
No. You'd smell it. You'd smell the den.
Yeah. But yeah, so because, for safety reasons, as you mentioned, we wanted to do an experiment with fear. I wanted to, because I knew Owen is like Mr. Brave Man of our team. Generally, he doesn't get scared much.
Yeah.
So, but this place, I could see that it was really playing on his mind. So, we literally tied him to this railing and just left him down there with the spirit box running, so he couldn't hear anything. Oh, we put a balaclava over.
I was going to mention the balaclava over his head as well, the poor man.
Yeah, so he couldn't see, he couldn't really hear if anything was approaching him, and he couldn't move, so we just thought, that is going to get his fear going even more, isn't it?
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
And within the space of 5 minutes, he started hearing bangs in the adjacent room next to him, which got increasingly louder to the point where there was one that was so loud, it was almost like a brick had fell. He breaks off this railing in pure fear, comes running to us, and the place just changed after that.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was the energy from his fear, but it seemed to just give whatever was there the strength it needed to properly show itself.
And he actually snapped the actual handcuffs as well, didn't he? He actually broke them.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't proper metal handcuffs. They were set from my bedroom at home, if I'm being honest. But
different story.
But but they were still metal though. They're still metal, and he snapped them.
Yeah, it shows you what fear does to you. You know, you get that inner strength to it's fight and what is it called? Fight or fright. You just go.
Yeah.
Flight.
That's
what?
It.
Yeah.
That's it.
But
I mean, it is. I find it personally very amusing watching that scene, just because it's Owen and he's my bro and he doesn't normally get scared at stuff, so
you could tell.
Entertaining watching him.
Well, when you were there, I mean, would you or Carl have done that, or would it's just Sean? Is he just that mad enough that he just does it?
Well, yeah, I don't think we really had a choice, really.
Well, I noticed that.
Yeah, we'd have done it. You know, the first thing we checked out was actual safety, taking the paranormal aside. We knew there was one way into this place, one way out.
Yeah.
We checked nobody was there, so we were pretty happy it'd be okay there. But obviously we weren't counting on perhaps conjuring whatever came as a result of it.
Yeah.
When you start messing with things like that, you know, I mentioned, you know, titled the video Demon.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was a demon, I don't know. But to me, it didn't. What we captured didn't sound right. You know, with what the other things that were going on as well, like almost poltergeist bangs and just the atmosphere that was down there. That's something that only you as an investigator can portray. Yeah, it just didn't feel right. It felt really that darker side, that evil side.
You could tell, you know, because it's like anything, isn't it? You go there, Sean, you feel relaxed. You know, when you were going in there, and you were quite confident going in there. But when you went back for that camera, you could see both yourself and Carl were nervous going down there. But you had no choice because Sean was on his way up to you, wasn't he?
Yeah. So our cameras down there and that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. People have said you've got to go back there, but I'm not sure. I'm on the fence about going back to that one, because if it is something of that nature, just what are the limits of it? Do you know what I mean? Or what can it actually do to you mentally, even physically? I don't know.
Well, you've got to think safety as well, haven't you? You know, you've done it with Sean. You hanged them. You know, you handcuffed him to the thing. The fear of him. I mean, it could have fed off his fear. And
I believe it did. I truly believe that's what. If we hadn't have done that, I don't think we'd have experienced half of what we did.
No, and think also, it was feeding off his fear. It was coming for him. It was he was like a bait. You know, he was that bait. There's no way he'd get me doing that. And I'm a seasoned paranormal investigator, but I still get frightened.
Yeah, of course. It's a scary thing, isn't it?
Like
you say, the more you do it, and the more you realise that there actually is something out there. Your next step is, well, what can it do to you? You just don't know.
No. Sorry, Sean. I've just seen movement in the corner of my eye. I am sorry. You know.
So every time we talk about activity, you get activity there.
I don't know whether that was activity or not just then. I just, you know, when you look, I'm looking at the screen and I'm watching the time and things like that, and you understand corner of your eye yourself. You know, you're an investigator, and I just actually thought of seeing movement in the room. That's the only thing, and it is really, really cold in this room now, and this is quite a cosy room. It's not a cold room. I've been quite warm for a while. I haven't got a coat on, but it's a bit nervy. But I'm going to carry on.
Can you still see your breath?
No, my breath. I'm fine with that now. It seems to be a lot more. I feel more relaxed now. I feel a lot more calmer. Good. I'm still wary. I thought I heard something. I thought I heard another voice earlier on, but I'm just logically thinking, no, you know, you're not hearing it. And it's the best. I think that's the best way. Unless something opens the door and starts walking in the room, then I'm all right.
That's it. But, you know, just the breath thing is just bizarre in itself.
Yeah.
Temperature doesn't just fluctuate that much naturally to the point where you see breath materialise and then it doesn't.
No.
You can't explain that.
No. And this is the first time I've ever been in this room on my own doing the show. Usually I've got Marie here, or there's people in the building and I can hear them in the distance, you know, or the lights are on and things like that. I'm here on my own and I'm crazy. I shouldn't be here on my own. You know, I mean, I'm not on my own. You're there, and to be honest with you, without this interview now, I'd be gone. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be in this building.
I'm a bit of a comfort, but I can't do much for you if something opens that door, mate.
Yeah, you will. You'll have to carry on the show on your own for me. I'm okay. I mean, to be honest with you, what's happening around me, and I'm being honest with you, I'm trying to think logically. I'm on my own. Is my imagination going? But to see the camouflage move before, that was like a wind blowing past it. There's no wind in this part of the building. I literally did hear voices over it. The door has opened slightly before, you know, and I was saying to you before.
Yeah.
And, you know, I genuinely know that's happened. I'm thinking logically on the other side. I'm a little bit on edge, as calm, but I'm a little bit on edge. And I'm like, do you know what I mean? You're looking for it. You don't want it to happen, but you're looking for it. So it could be that kind of in between kind of thing. But I'm okay. We'll go back to you know the place you went to with the demon encounter. It was a very, very on edge kind of program now as well. You know, from the moment you got there, it looked spooky. It looked like it should be in a horror film.
Yes.
You know, it's one of them places. How did Sean and Carl? How did Sean and Carl feel while they were there? You know, you all went into there. What was going on in your head to go into a place like that?
Well, the reason we went there, it's actually somewhere that Carl has been quite a few times on his own show.
On his own?
Never been there before.
Yeah.
And he had told us, you know, when we're looking, our show, really dark territory, we are looking for the darker side of stuff. We want the best evidence. We want to just push the boundaries and not be afraid to go places that some might consider a bit more dangerous, you know what I mean? And he had said this was one of them places. It's somewhere that has genuinely scared him in the past, and he thought it was just somewhere we needed to go during the show. And does it play on your mind a little bit that the whole serial killer thing's happened fairly recent? There's been suicide. You know, if that kind of stuff's gone on, it does. Does it affect how you perceive the space? Does it make you think this feels nasty?
Yeah.
You have to be mindful of that.
You do, and you have to be respectful as well, because you don't know whether anyone was, sadly to say, you know, the lives were taken there.
Yeah, exactly. So when we first went in, to be honest, I felt all right. It was Owen and Carl. I'd say Owen the most that was actually thinking this place is really bad, and I was thinking, really, it don't feel too bad to me. But that's again another thing. Different people, different investigators pick up on different things.
Hold on. Sorry, Sean. I've just had knocking. Hello? Sean, let me just open the door, because that literally sounded like it was knocking on the door. So I'll keep talking while I'm going. Anyway, I'm going to be a bit distant, but I'm just going to check. I'm going to be brave. I'm going to check that ball as well.
Go for it.
Why did I, in all madness, pull a ball out to trigger object? Hello?
If that moves or has moved, you'll be gone.
Hello? No, there's nobody there at all, Sean.
Is the ball still there then?
The ball hasn't moved, thankfully.
Good.
Oh my God. I'll get through it.
You've picked a night for it tonight, haven't you?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're doing the show from up there. I'd be doing it from the other end if I were you.
Yeah,
it feels a lot more comfy in the base room area.
It's the room we had. It's the room we're only here temporary at the moment, because I'm having a little studio built. So we're here temporary, but we are going to have while we're talking about it now, we might as well say, we're going to be having a mobile studio as well, you know, so we can, you know, if you come back here again, we can come and interview you here before you do your investigation, and after your investigation. So that's what we're looking at doing, you know. So when this will all be moved out of here, but we will have like a mobile one on wheels, so we can bring it in, throw it all out there, do our interviews. We could do a full show from here, because we're on about doing live paranormal investigations like we did last week. You know, because the one we did last week was a 4-hour show, so we're looking at doing more of them as well once we come out of lockdown. Last week we did it in a bubble, so it was a strange one, but it was great. It was a fantastic night. We had some experiments. It was an experiment to do the live show as well. We learned a lot from it, so that was the good part about it. And me being me, I'm quite happy where it is, but not tonight. Yeah. So going back to the going back to the demon encounter. To me, that's the best one you've done so far. I mean, I've had a dip into the one where you've done Cannock Chase, is it?
Yeah,
Cannock Chase. That was quite good.
Yeah, for a forest, you know, I was quite impressed with how that turned out as well.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'd agree. I think that one, that fort, it was kind of the pinnacle of what our brand is meant to be about. It literally was dark territory down there.
And was it a girl? There was a girl who walked off on her own. Am I right?
We're talking about Cannock Chase.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously Cannock Chase, the main ghost story behind that is about the black-eyed children.
Yeah, the black-eyed.
Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a big phenomenon. It's not just been reported at Cannock Chase, but it seems to be linked to Forest for some reason. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people believe there was some horrible murders that happened on Cannock Chase. It was in the 50s or 60s of a few young girls under the age of 10. And yeah, people believe these sightings are tragically those girls. Whether they are or not, don't know. It could go back even further. But yeah, they get reported so often. Obviously, it's quite a touristy place. A lot of people go walking, bike riding, and stuff at Cannock Chase. But yeah, a lot of people claim to see these children with black eyes that just appear in one place and then appear behind them. You know, it's really bizarre experiences. And yeah, it did seem towards the end of the night we did catch a lot, like a girly laugh. And also taking I was using my full spectrum still camera, which I don't do a lot, but I did take it with me on that night. And yeah, just bizarrely, Owen started to feel unwell, so I took a snapshot of him, and there's this strange, like, anomaly above his head, like, glowing. And then I took one of Carl, and it looks like above him in the trees behind, literally like an inverted cross glowing. Now, it sounds crazy. I mean, could it be some kind of light reflection off like the infrared illuminator? It's possible. But, you know, considering Owen was feeling like really unwell, and then we heard this girl laugh around that time. It just makes you wonder. I don't know, but for an investigation just out in the woods, I was just really impressed. And also we got like a really deep growl right at the start as well, which
that's right. Yep.
Was any kind of animal.
Well, in the dark, I mean, what animals come out late at night? What can growl? There's obviously the foxes, but they're very shy animals. You know, if you're there, they'll move away because, as you know, what they call foxes are scared of humans. They make this different kind of sound, like a screechy kind of squeal, aren't they? But like people are watching the episode from America, and they were relating to things that they have over there, like bears and stuff, which, you know, fair enough, yeah, it did sound along them lines. But here, we don't have anything like that. No, we don't. I'm trying to think. I mean, obviously we can go back to the badger, but again, the badger wouldn't have come near you. They'd have moved away from you. They'd keep away from humans.
Yeah, it wasn't a badger-like sound. It was very deep, like.
But
I can't explain it.
It's nice to debunk stuff. I mean, going back to the demon one again, there was a part in that where I as soon as I heard it, I went, "That's an owl." You know, the one what you heard there, it sounded like either a barn owl or a tawny owl. Right. A barn owl's got like a screech to it. Yeah. So, but I'm not sure. A barn owl has more of an open field. They prefer the wide open fields, you know. But if there's food, if they need food, they'll go into a wood. But I don't know how far into the wood you were.
Pretty deep. We walked for about an hour and a half to get to where we did.
Ah, right. It's probably a tawny owl then.
Yeah, could have been.
But I mean, I noticed that you do. The good thing with your team as well, and this is why I really like it, is you think logically and you try and debunk as well, more than what you do anything.
Yeah, that's it. You've got to, haven't you?
Yeah.
When you're looking for the paranormal, it's very easy to try and put everything as being the paranormal, but in reality, paranormal is rare. You know,
it definitely is.
The real stuff. So you've got to try and look at it logically, but sometimes the logical seems more irrational then accepting it as being paranormal.
Yeah. And what about going to the Hack Green one? I mean, I've been to Hack Green. I've done a good investigation there years ago. How did you feel? How did you feel about Hack Green? Because obviously there's a lot of it's more of a museum, isn't it? The secret bunker.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
So
I mean, it goes back to Cold War.
yeah,
It did because it was completely emptied, and then they've kind of bought bits from other bunkers and other places to kind of recreate that environment. So a lot of the objects there will have residual, but it won't be from actually Hack Green. It's from other places. It's not to say the building itself hasn't got haunted.
no.
But our investigation there, I don't know. We were very on the fence with that one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I want to say it wasn't crazy active, but at the same time, we did get a lot, and I say a lot, of like a female audible voice. But so much so that it seemed too good to be true, and we were really trying to debunk it and find a rational explanation. And I do believe that we did. When we started the investigation, I mean, yeah, right off the bat, we were hearing it in this one room. I don't know if you can remember the female dormitory, which is right on top of like the yellow staircase.
I do remember that one. Yeah, I remember that well.
That's it. Well, literally, as soon as we went near this female dormitory, lo and behold, we were hearing a female voice. So we hung around there for a while, and we kept hearing it, and it's almost like a somber whimper, like a sadness, and which really goes hand in hand with a story from that place. And I say a story, it is said to be fact that a female officer either fell from the top of them stairs or jumped and that was a suicide. So hearing that kind of sad tone really matches that story.
Yeah.
But like I say, we heard it so many times to the point that it was like, there's got to be something causing this, something rational. It's way too frequent to be paranormal. So we carried on. We captured it. We kind of moved on, thinking, right, it's got to be rational. That has in the air ducts or something.
Mm-hmm.
As the night went on, we went to different areas, and we didn't hear it anywhere else. And we didn't really get any other activity anywhere else, so we went back up there. And it was back, it was still there, but there was then another sound. Just trying to think, it was a while ago we did that investigation. It was like a banging in the vents.
Yeah.
But literally, it was so on command with talking about this female officer that had jumped or fell or whatever. I remember Carl was, as soon as he said something relevant to like her story, it would be bang, bang, bang in the vents. It was insane how the time it was. But again, so prominent and so frequent to the point we're thinking now. So at the end, let's say we were investigating that room for another hour and hearing female voice, hearing the bangs on command. Must have heard them 50 odd times, that many.
Really?
We went outside the bunker, and literally on top of that room, there's a big radar dish. Now, the wind really picked up since we'd first gone in. So I'm thinking the wind was catching that dish, twisting it ever so slightly, and I think that was giving you your female kind of moan. But then again, there was two sounds. There was even, the railing that goes around that yellow staircase.
Yeah.
We had what sounded like that was violently being rattled a couple of times. Got to check that out. I'd say that is actually probably the most compelling piece from all that.
Right.
It literally sounds like the railing's wobbling like loud. So yeah, it was all around there for us. But I kind of feel like we debunked a lot of it with the radar dish.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of it.
Well, that's what you want. You want that. It's nice to have the debunking. Sometimes you feel satisfied that you have debunked it. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
We were there. I'd say it must be 12 years ago now. That's how long ago it was. It was before I started. Okay. I mean, as you know, I've got my own group anyway, and we've been going 10 yeyears. So it was before that. So I'm going to say about 12 years ago we were last there, and I remember it distinctly that we'd had our break. And what we done is we went off to one area, and the other group went up to the other area. Completely different set. You know, we went down to the, like, say the left-hand side. We went that far, down that way, and the other ones went down that way. But we went down the stairs to the other layer, so we were quite a distance away from each other. And I was calling out, and you know, the way you do, and all of a sudden there was a huge woman scream. You know, just like literally scream, ah, like that.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, it's the others messing around. You know, you just brush it off. The others are messing around and all that. And anyway, when we went to the break, Sean, what happened was we were all sitting there in the break, and one of them turned around and said, "Which one of you did that scream down there?" I said, none of us did the scream. We thought it was you. And he said, it wasn't us. So both groups heard it, but we couldn't explain it. Even to this day, I mean, it's stuck in my mind to this day. I mean, you're talking 12 years ago now. It was distinctly a woman's voice screaming.
So you were both, I'm trying to picture where you were. So were you both gone down both staircases, but either end of the bunker?
Yeah. You know where you have the canteen, you've got the shop, haven't you?
Yeah.
Right. So when you go into Hackney and you come through it looks like a tunnel, doesn't it? You know, there's a bit of a museum there, and then you come into the canteen where the shop is. Yeah. Then what they do is they take it out another way. You turn right and you go through a set of doors, and you can either go right or you can go left in the building.
Yeah. And
what one group did is they went to the right, and I remember us going to the left, and we went down a set of stairs. There was a set of stairs, and there was also, I'll tell you what else was there when we went there as well. There was the cinema part.
Yes, it was still there.
Yeah, we went down that way, and the other group went the other way, and we were well a distance, because Hackney is quite a big place. Yeah. And we were that far away from each other. When we heard the scream sounded like quite close, but not close enough, if you understand what I mean. We thought, one of them screaming down to make us frightened. But they thought the same. They thought one of us was screaming, and none of us were screaming whatsoever.
I'm just trying to pinpoint where that could have come from then. So would that make sense? It could have been that yellow staircase.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I know the staircase you're talking about, because that's where the fellas or someone's supposed to have jumped off.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we did an investigation near there. We all sat on the stairs, you know, right the way up the stairs. Nothing. We didn't feel nothing or anything like that. But that's the only thing that's ever happened to me in Hackney, and it you know, it's as clear today as it was at the day it happened. It's a nice place to go to. I like the. It's called the secret bunker, but everybody knows where it is. You know.
I know, yeah, a bit ironic.
But it's out the way. You're not going to get gangs hanging around there. So you know, and even when you're in the bunker, you know yourself. Once you're in, you can't hear the outside world anyway.
No, that's it. Else it wouldn't do its job, would it?
No.
But then, saying again, like that radar dish, I do believe that you could hear it in that room because it was right on top. But I could be wrong. I could be like over debunking it, and maybe we actually caught really good paranormal. But for you to hear a really loud scream, that is a lot more difficult to rationalise, isn't it? It certainly wouldn't be that radar dish or anything. So
no, it was definitely a scream. You know, it was a clear scream.
That's it. Perhaps that I think her name was Joan, the officer that jumped. Perhaps, you know, that is a genuine haunting. It's an interesting place anyway. It's something really different.
Yeah, I mean it is. I mean, I mean, I've got good memories of that as well. And I mean, one day I will go back there. You know, once lockdown, because it's funny because we were planning all our 10-year celebrations this year and we were going to do this, we were going to do that. Sadly, you know, COVID come along and put a stop to that. But you know, hopefully next year we will start going to these places. You know, I mean, I know you've done to these places. You've done 9 videos now. Have you got an idea where you're going to next, or is there a place that you really want to go to that you don't think you'll be able to get there? And I know a lot of people say Alcatraz. You know, is there a place in the UK that you really want to do?
For me, I'm a sucker for asylums. Really, that is my dream places. There's some up Scotland, but getting permission because of health and safety and that it's very difficult.
Yeah,
I think you need to have kind of that TV backing to be able to get a chance at places like that. So if I was to pick one place, There's a place called Sunnyside Hospital Asylum. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've
It's
heard
not
of it,
that
yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's massive. That place would be a dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say my favourite place I've ever been to is Denby Mental Asylum. But
Yeah.
I think that's actually getting renovated now, believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done that one, but I know a few people who have done it. You know, and they've said it was really good. I think Most Haunted did it, didn't he?
Yeah. I'm not sure how much of it they were allowed to go into, but obviously I did it on the naughty and went everywhere. But yeah, that was just the highlight of my paranormal career, to just have free reign in a Victorian asylum.
Yeah.
It just looks horrific, and it's like its own town. It's just enormous. I'll never forget that, just being alone there, just me and Owen at night, literally the entire night. It was surreal. It was like a dream / nightmare. It was crazy.
I was just going to say, like a dream.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was just all. The only light we had was the moon, just lighting up the spires of the asylum. It was crazy.
And I mean, I like going. I'd love to do a castle, an old castle. I think it's because it goes back hundreds of years. A castle, you've got the history of that. I mean, I'd love to do an asylum. I've never been able to do one, or an old prison.
Yeah.
You know, there's a few empty prisons around here.
Prisons, but it's so pricey to hire.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what's happening now. You know, because we're all out there, we all want to do the investigation. The prices are going up, and I mean, at this time, you know, with us being knocked down when we come out of it, you know, I think the prices are going to go up because people need to get back to the way they were. And I think for a while, I think we're going to find it difficult when we get prices. You know, the way the prices are going.
Yeah.
But I can understand it in one way, but I think if they keep them at the same price, they certainly will get paranormal groups coming in, you know, like yourselves.
Yeah, it's become quite a big hobby now, isn't it? A lot of people are interested in the field.
It has. Do you know what we've been doing, Sean? You know, in the lockdown for the radio show, we've been going out doing walks. Like we did a place up here called Shadley Park, and me and James.
I remember you saying,
Yeah, we just went and done a walk, a ghost hunt between the two of us, but for a walk. Well, what we found is, you know, we found out that it was haunted and it was this and it was that. So we said, come on, let's go and do a walk and talk. You know, we only need to do an hour. And then we slotted into the show. Me and Marie, we went up to Filey and we went and done a graveyard up there. I won't say where yet because it's going to come on. And do you know, we done it in the daytime and we actually got footsteps. You could hear the footsteps coming towards us. And that happened to us in Shadley Park. And what was good as well is, because it's that time of year, there's a few leaves on the floor. You can actually hear the leaves crunching.
Yeah, that's it.
So
I've never done a graveyard, you know. I've always wanted to. I've not done one yet.
I'll tell you. I mean, whereabouts are you now? Are you up in? Is it Manchester way?
I'm Stoke-on-Trent.
Stoke-on-Trent, yeah. So you're not really that far, are you? If you come back round here, I'll take you to one. A really good one. We did it a while back. We have to call it a secret location, and it was very, very good that night. We had some really good stuff on there.
Right.
If you want to come up, you can come with me, and we'll have a walk around. We'll do a walk and talk ghost hunt if you wish.
Yeah, we'll have to arrange something, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I mean, we all seem to be indoors, as you know. We do a lot of indoor stuff.
Yeah.
We don't do many outdoor stuff, and I think there's just as much hauntings outdoors as there is indoor. I think. Hello, sorry, Sean, I've got banging again.
It's off again. I think it's more difficult to document evidence outdoors. You've got so much more contamination. It's hard to define what's natural and what's not. Whereas indoors, you know, you've got more control, haven't you?
Yeah. I'm listening to you, Sean, but I'm also keeping my eye out because there's definitely something. I can hear it again. I'm just going to have to ignore it. Yeah, I mean, I love doing the outdoor ones, you know, especially when like there's no wind or anything like that. You know, like I said, we done Shadley Park, and it was really good. Now, where you done that demon encounter, you went outside, and you went into another part of the building, and was it you or Sean or Carl who saw something near the door, the figure near the door?
It was me outside the window. It was only brief, like it could have been my eyes playing tricks, but yeah, it's like something moves, like something dark, black.
But there was definitely something there.
Yeah. Whether it followed out the tunnel, don't know.
Yeah, well, this is it, isn't it? Yeah. So, Sean, just before we go, can you just how people can join you in your your investigations on your YouTube channel, your Facebook page, or anything like that? Can you just give the information out for the listeners, please?
Yeah, of course. So you can find us on YouTube primarily. That's where all our episodes are. So if you search for Dark Territory, you should see us come up. Our pictures, there's 3 of us. And we have got a new episode coming very soon, which is the finale of the season, episode 10. And that's at the infamous Ancient Ram Inn, which is one of the most haunted places in this country.
Being it fantastic.
Yeah, so that's coming very soon. And Instagram, we're also on there for Dark Territory TV. And the same on Facebook, Dark Territory TV. And we've also got a Facebook fan group as well, which is where, if you want to kind of get in touch with us more personal, that's the place to do that. Just be sure, put in Dark Territory fan page, but be sure to answer all the entry questions, because that's a bit of a requirement to join that fan page. And to do that, you'll have to watch a few of our videos to answer them. But yeah, we're always on there. If you've got any questions you want to ask any of us, we get onto you pretty quick on there.
And you've got a website?
We've got a fan page, I said, on Facebook.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
well, Sean,
a bit more of a private group, so rather than just the generic pages.
And all I can say to anybody who's listening out there, go to the YouTube channel, watch the videos, and you will be hooked. Subscribe. It's fantastic. If you subscribe, you'll then get to know when they're coming up. Just click on the notifications as well. I highly recommend the Dark Territory one. To me, it's the best paranormal YouTubers out there. I'm hooked. Love it. And not just because Mill Street are on it, Sean, but you've done a fantastic job. Now, I've got to ask, will you come back on again soon? Because we've actually dedicated this whole program, this whole show to Dark Territory, because it was so fascinating. That's why I continued with the interview. That's why I continued with it.
Much appreciated. Yeah, I said, because obviously there's 3 of us, and you can only interview one of us at a time at the moment, can't you? So I said, get Owen on next time.
Definitely.
It'd be nice for you to hear his thoughts on, especially that Demon episode where he got tied off. I'm sure he'd love to tell you about that.
Oh, I'll definitely get him on for that.
But yeah, I mean, what we kind of take pride in with our show is kind of how we film it. We try and make it as cinematic as possible. And all that comes from Owen's brain. He's more of our artistic director. So yeah, it's a bit more of a different spin. I'm more of the investigation side. Owen's more of the production side. So he can give you a bit of input on that.
Brilliant. Sean Kenna of Dark Territory, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. We really appreciate it. We have now got a full 2 hours of Dark Territory. I hope you've all enjoyed it, because it's been fantastic. Sean, thanks for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. And also, thanks for the comfort of being me on my own in here.
It's been a pleasure. I just hope you get out all right now, Jamie.
I will do. Sean, thank you so much for joining us here tonight on Access Paranormal. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Jamie. All the best.
So that was Sean Kenna from Dark Territory, and the conversation I had with him a night or 2 ago. And as you could see, things did happen. But what I'd like to know is if any of you heard anything out there, anything that I missed, could you please contact us on info.accessparanormal@gmail.com, or go to our Twitter site at #AccessParanorm1. Now, I know you 2 haven't heard what happened, because obviously I've dragged you up here to finish the show off with me, because I really didn't want to be here on my own after that night.
Yeah.
And but we were talking about his videos, what he's got on the YouTube channel there.
Yeah.
And I know you've watched the Mill Street Barracks one, because I think we've all watched the Mill Street Barracks one, because we're based here.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it? What did you think about the videos themselves?
I think they're really good, Jamie. I do watch a few different channels on Paranormal and different things, and it is one of the most professional ones I've seen. It's really good.
The way they're made is fantastic. You actually feel as if you're there with them as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, really good, really interesting.
And Marie,
Yeah.
sorry, Jonathan, and Marie. I mean, obviously you heard all about it because I came home from here that night and told you all about it. So you basically know what's gone on the conversation.
What's going on? So I just can't wait to hear it, the full show on the radio.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to get out.
It's going to be brilliant.
Yeah.
So as you was talking about the different videos as well on YouTube, yeah, we did watch the Mill Street one, but we had watched others as well. Jamie, we watched the one from them that they did of the demon.
The demon,
where he got chained to the banister, wasn't it? The railing.
Yeah, Sean known as best friend as well.
Yeah, best friends.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was frightening, wasn't it?
It
I mean,
was,
you could feel your own heart going. You can imagine how he must have felt being in there and trying to get away from their noises, because they were really loud noises, weren't they? So you'd have to have a look at that one, Jonathan.
Yeah, will do. Yeah,
it's well worth a watch, you know, and you are sitting on the edge of your seat. But what other ones have you seen, Jonathan?
I've seen quite a few others. I don't want to say the names of the channels, really.
Well, this is Access Paranormal. Yeah. You know, there's quite a few out there. There is a lot out there.
There is a lot out there. Some good, some bad.
Yeah.
But most of them are good.
Yeah,
they've got really good content on them.
Yeah, and some you learn a lot from.
You can learn a lot from some of these channels out there now. The actual camera work that they're actually doing, because they're all doing it themselves with their own cameras and lights and everything. It's really good.
What I liked about the Dark Territory one though is when they done here, they made it look really good. They made the building. How can you explain it? It looked professional. The building looked brilliant.
Yeah.
The cameramanship they done, Marie, as you know, it was superb. We were watching it. We actually commented on the night. Yeah. This is great. I love the way they filmed it and everything.
It was really good, and the lights, the way they did it, and the dome going over the top to see Mill Street from it.
Yeah.
From height, that was brilliant to see it like that.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Yeah, really, really good, professional. But we'd like to have a look at some other YouTubes, don't we, Jamie? We like going through the YouTube and looking and pulling different ones out.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We can have a laugh at some, but there's some brilliant ones out there.
We keep saying what we should do. Really is. I mean, I love going onto YouTube and watching these things. Yeah. And I am hooked. I must admit, I'm hooked on the Dark Territory.
Yeah.
And you know, there's another one I watch as well. It's called Mindseed TV, which they're an American. So I can compare from the UK to America on how it's done.
Yeah.
And they're both really good. I mean, obviously, my favourite now is Dark Territory because I've seen it. And what I like about them as well is you tend to know the places to be into as well, apart from the demon one.
Yeah. It's, a lot of them do places that we've already been to. In the past. I've seen one done in Newsham Park.
Oh yeah, been there.
So there are quite a few places where we've actually been that people go. So you know, you already know sort of what to expect, or you actually know the place.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, I've got to stop you both there because it's almost that time at the end of the show's come. It's not a 4-hour one like we did last week, which we'll be talking about next week because we haven't had a chance this week. Yeah. Thank you both for coming in with me and comforting me. I do appreciate that part. And, you know, are you going to come back next week?
Definitely, I'll be back.
Yeah, do you want to do the show on your own next week?
No. Wait, you, Jamie, not on my own. I'm not silly.
No, we'll all be back next week. I mean, we are in a bubble and we do keep our distance. So, but thank you both for coming onto the show tonight.
Jamie and Jonathan always love to hear your spooky paranormal experiences and stories. Why not get in touch with them directly on email at info.accessparanormal@gmail.com. That's info.accessparanormal@gmail.com. Alternatively, you can leave a message on the studio mobile phone. The number is 07828 201 056. Now, Jamie and Jonathan may get back in touch, but it will be a voicemail, so if you do have anybody answer, who knows who's on the other end of the